Another area, you mentioned goalkeepers. Goalkeepers. We are taking 4 of them to the AFCON.
Yeah.
First, before we even get into the analysis or anything of the sort, if I asked you to pick your favorites, who would you pick? If somebody had to man the post, if you were picking number 1 goalkeeper for the Black Stars, who would you choose?
I think based on the players in the squad, there has to be Jojo Wolakot.
Okay.
We've seen the other 2 keepers, Manaf and Ati-Zigi. They got their 45 minutes. They both didn't impress. Jojo Wolakot has had the back half of the qualifying campaign. He's made a few mistakes here and there, but that was mostly with playing the ball out of the back. He's not dropping shots. He's not missing catches, that kind of stuff. So I think, and we see a lot of keepers making mistakes when it comes to playing out of the back. It's difficult for them. So I think, based on what I've seen, Jojo Wolakot is the man for the job.
Okay, Daniel?
Look, by far, Jojo Wolakot. When Richard,
it's interesting how all of a sudden, out of nowhere.
Look, it's by merit. He's played how many games? 4 games since Milo came. 4 pressure games, high pressure games, and he's performed in all. When he came in, his first game was the home game against Zimbabwe. We had to win that game. We won that game. He was fantastic. We went away against Zimbabwe. We probably won that game because of the saves he made. In the away game against Ethiopia, we probably survived with a draw because of the saves he made. And then against South Africa, he was brilliant once again. So I think for somebody who is come relatively unknown, all sorts of things was said about him. But when he was thrown into the game, and I mentioned the phrase again, high pressure games, he always delivered. I've seen Richard Ati-Zigi a couple of times, and I think I'm yet to see him in a competitive game. But every time I see him, he doesn't impress me.
Okay.
Algeria was a friendly, 45 minutes. Why are you making those sort of mistakes?
Okay.
There's probably no pressure on you. Everybody already knew that when Jojo came, he was going to be number 1. So why is there? Just go out there and impress, but then mistakes. CK's first game in charge, their away game or the friendly game against Mali, where we were beaten by 3-0. He made a couple of mistakes in that game also. So for him, he's not necessarily my favorite out there, and I think it's a bit clear. I've not seen Richard Atta in a Black Stars jersey, so I cannot make pronouncements on whether he should be imposed or not. I think for what we've seen and by merit, and that's why this is top level football. If you are given the chance and you perform, you deserve to continue. And by what we've seen Jojo Wolakot do, I think he deserves the number 1 place in the Black Stars.
All right, let's have a look at some numbers or some stats of the other goalkeepers, those who are trying to get into the post ahead of Jojo Wolakot. Lawrence Ati-Zigi and Manaf. They are the other goalkeeper. There you have it there. He's so can you just run us through what exactly all these numbers and what they mean and how come these guys possibly are behind Jojo Wolakot?
So Ati-Zigi plays for St. Gallen in Switzerland in the Swiss Challenge League. And as you can see, he's not doing too well because you can see for a lot of the stats, second last. So goals against per 90. So every game he's conceding about 2.17. Okay. He's only saved 60% of his shots. And he's only kept 1 clean sheet. And I use the clean sheet rate because sometimes raw numbers are a bit different number of games played, etc. 5.6. So he's not doing well for his club. So I don't see why they expected him to come and do well for them.
What if somebody makes an argument and says, possibly Ati-Zigi is playing behind a bad defense, and so he could be highly exposed. And once you are highly exposed and you are facing a high volume of shots, there's a chance you will concede a lot.
I'm glad you said that because when you get to Manaf's numbers, you see he's also playing behind a bad defense, but he's making the most of it.
Okay.
So the thing about playing behind a bad defense is you will face a lot of shots. I mean, that's why I don't hold clean sheets and goals against you. We look at the save percentage. There's how many keepers in the league, and look at Manaf. He's not kept 1 clean sheet in the league. But he's second for save percentage with 76% in the Belgian league. He plays for UPenn. His goals against is 1.4. So he's also playing behind a bad defense, and he's also even saved a penalty too. So he's doing a bit more, even though his team is bad. His team is mid-table, but I don't know, maybe the coach doesn't like something about him because he hasn't started all of their games. I think he's only started 10 games, and the other keepers also started 11. So it seems like there's some rotation going on. I think he's doing very well based on the numbers because to be second in your save percentage in your league is no easy feat. It shows that he's doing, when the shots come, he's dealing with them. But we're looking at like Ati-Zigi, who's second last. So these are 2 players at the opposite end of the spectrum.
Okay.
And I would argue even the Belgian league is maybe a bit higher quality than the Swiss league. So it makes me wonder maybe Manaf was nervous and that's why we didn't see the best of him. Because if I had looked at the stats just on paper, I would have gone Manaf to be our first choice keeper.
Okay.
Based on the fact that Jojo Wallacott is playing in League 2, is the fourth tier of the English league. Even though he's doing very well there, I would say, Manaf is in the top European league, he's doing well, but when they've come to the Black Stars, sometimes those things don't matter. It's about what you do on the pitch. And Jojo Wallacott has proven himself.
Okay.
Manaf has not had as much time, but I would say, based on the stats, he should be number 2, if anything.
Okay, interesting stuff there. So, I mean, the guys make their points about goalkeepers, Manaf, Nuruddin, Lawrence, Ati-Zigi. It's very obvious that Jojo Wallacott looks like he will be number 1, or some people say he is number 1. Now, it depends on who is number 2 and number 3. Guys, so from what we are saying, it looks like it will be Manaf who's going to be number 2, I'm assuming.
I hope so. Because per what we've seen previously, that's what I was mentioning when Richard Ofori was, before Jojo Wallacott came into the frame, it was Ati-Zigi who was number 2. So some may think that he will maintain that spot. But of course, from the numbers we've seen, and I think there's another key stat I saw during the week that completely astonished me when it comes to the goalkeeping XG. He's expected goals. Yes, conceded. His is -8, and that is
-8.
Yes, -8. So
he's basically cost his team 8 goals.
Yeah.
Based on the shots he's faced, you expect some shots to go in. Based on the shots he's faced, he should have saved. His team should have conceded 8 less goals, but as you've seen, his save percentage is the lowest in the league. So that's naturally why he's also costing his team.
So it means when it comes to his job, basically keeping shots out, he's allowed 8 more than under normal circumstances they would have conceded, and that is not something I want to trust my team in. He should be there, but I think he should be far away from the post.
Interesting.